Hello. Sorry, I'm late. I was making more coffee. Can you guys see me and hear me okay? StreamYard's been an issue per usual. Okay. Hello. Thank you for being here. Screen sharing is canceled. Okay, yeah, good. We're back. Yeah, I know. Laura, I have my feelings about that. Welcome back. We are here to read a document. If you're into the Karen Reed case, that whole thing going on, Proctor, there's a 25-page document that I want to read and go through, which will be pretty fast. 25 pages is not bad for us. We read thousands here. So I assume we'll go through that pretty quickly, and then we're going to, sorry, I was fixing my mic. And then we're going to watch part of the interview that Alan Jackson did with Billy Bush. Just a few minutes. I want to play that. I don't want to play it all in its entirety because you can go and view it at his channel. And he talks about Nick Reiner and Karen Reed. So I'm just going to play the Karen Reed portion of it. When we do Nick Reiner update, we can cover the rest of it. So am I a little bit blurry? Maybe let me know, because I did do something with my camera. So let me know if I still am blurry. The document that we're going to read is dated January 16th, Karen Reed, plaintiff, Michael Proctor in his personal capacity, Buchanan, 𝗠𝗲𝗹𝗆𝗆𝗆𝗆𝗆𝗆𝗆𝗆𝗆𝗆𝗆𝗆𝗆𝗆𝗆𝗆𝗆𝗆𝗆𝗆𝗆𝗆𝗆𝗆𝗆𝗆𝗆𝗆𝗆𝗆𝗆𝗆𝗆𝗆𝗆𝗆𝗆𝗆𝗆𝗆𝗆𝗆𝗆𝗆𝗆𝗆𝗆𝗆𝗆𝗆𝗆𝗆𝗆𝗆𝗆𝗆𝗆𝗆𝗆𝗆𝗆𝗆𝗆𝗆𝗆𝗆𝗆𝗆𝗆𝗆𝗆𝗆𝗆𝗆𝗆𝗆𝗆𝗆𝗆𝗆𝗆𝗆𝗆𝗆𝗆𝗆𝗆𝗆𝗆𝗆𝗆𝗆 Am I a bit blurry? Let me go back out and come back in. Okay, is that better? Let me know. Hold 1 second. Okay, I'm hoping that's a little bit better. Let me know if it is or if it's not, because if it's not, then I might want to restart the live over if you guys can't see, or if it's too blurry. Is it still a little bit blurry? Is it better or blurry still? I see you guys said yes, but I'm like, good, much better. Okay, I think it was me. I'm trying to set up a new camera, so I've been going back and forth so I can figure out the new one, but then have to connect the old one because I'm not done figuring out the new one. So it's a freaking mess. Is that okay? So, geez, I'm already behind. It's only the 16th on these docs. Cheese and rice. Okay, let's get to it. I saw Robert in here. I saw Evie. I saw Vanjie. Thank you for being here. Debbie as well. Tippy and Laura. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay, let me pull up this document. Let's get started with it. I'm kind of excited to read this. I don't think it'll be very long for us. Ooh, hold please. Okay. Let me see if that's okay. I think that's good on your end. Yeah. Okay, so let's see. First defense, plaintiff's complaint fails to state a claim against the defendant Michael Proctor, upon which relief can be granted and therefore must be dismissed. Answer and jury demand of the defendant Michael Proctor. Introduction. The allegations contained in this paragraph are introductory in nature and contain legal conclusions, therefore no response is necessary. To the extent a response is required, they are denied. The allegations contained in this paragraph are introductory in nature and refer to other defendants. Therefore no response is necessary. To the extent a response is required, they are denied. The allegations in this paragraph are introductory in nature and therefore no response is required. To the extent that a response is required, it is admitted that Proctor grew up and resides in Canton, Mass., that Brian Albert was a police officer, and that Brian Higgins was an agent with the ATF. As to the remaining allegations, they are denied. The allegations in this paragraph are introductory in nature and therefore no response is required. To the extent that response is required, it is admitted that Mr. O'Keefe had bruises and lacerations on his face and a deep gash to the back of his head and scratches on his right forearm. Denied that there was an unwritten rule of protecting their own. As to the remaining allegations, Proctor is without knowledge or information sufficient to form a belief as their truth. To the extent that the response is required, it is admitted that Proctor sent texts which speak for themselves. Oh. Denied that Proctor shielded the House defendants by intentionally sidestepping fundamental investigatory procedures. As to the remaining allegations, Proctor is without knowledge or information to form a belief as to their truth. The allegations in this paragraph, to the extent a response is required, it is admitted that Proctor did not search the house for blood evidence, fingerprints, or DNA evidence. Admitted that O'Keefe was found without a coat, hat, and one shoe. The remaining allegations are denied. Allegations in this paragraph are introductory in nature, and therefore no response is required. Okay, we already read that. To the extent that the response, Proctor provided information to his sister. Damn. To the extent a response is required, it is admitted that Proctor sent text message to his high school friend, sister, and state police colleagues, which speak for themselves. Allegations denied. To the extent that response is required, the allegations in this paragraph refer to the defendants. There is no response necessary. Okay. To the extent they can be construed to be read against Proctor, they are denied. Responding further, Proctor admits he was terminated by Mass State Police. As to the remaining allegation, Proctor is without knowledge or information sufficient to form a belief as to their truth. Proctor is without knowledge, sufficient to the belief of these allegations. Parties, Proctor is without knowledge, admitted that Proctor is a former Mass State Trooper. He resides in Canton. Proctor is without knowledge to believe these allegations. Okay. Jurisdiction and venue. No response is necessary. Mr. O'Keefe's death. Admitted that on January 28th, 2022, Mr. O'Keefe and Miss Reed went to C.F. McCarthy's in Canton and then to Waterfall Bar in Canton. Also admitted that O'Keefe was drinking. Denied that Miss Reed had several drinks. She had at least 9. As to the remaining allegations, Proctor is without knowledge, to prove them. Admitted that Jennifer McCabe told O'Keefe that he should come to the house. As to the remaining allegations, Proctor is without knowledge or information. Admitted that Brian and Mr. O'Keefe were Boston police officers and that Mr. Higgins was an ATF officer. Admitted that Kevin Albert and Proctor had a professional relationship. Proctor is without knowledge, of these allegations. Denied the allegations in the paragraph, Miss Reed searches for Mr. O'Keefe. These allegations, are they denied? Proctor's without information to form a belief of this as the truth. Investigation begins. Admitted that Canton Police Department were the first law enforcement on the scene. Proctor's without knowledge. Admitted that Proctor was assigned as a CAFE officer. Proctor leads MSP investigation despite conflicts. This is just messy. Hey, born twice. Admitted that Proctor was assigned to the case and that Buchanan and Tully were supervisors at the Norfolk County State Police Detective Unit. Proctor denies that he engaged in misconduct. Admitted that Proctor grew up and resides in Canton. Admitted that Proctor's sister was a friend of Julie Albert's. Admitted that Proctor and Julie Albert had each other's personal cell phone numbers. Denied that Proctor is a good friend of the Alberts. Denied that Proctor intentionally suppressed the evidence of any relationships. Denied that Proctor protected any of the House defendants and denied the plaintiff's right to a fair investigation in the trial were undermined. Proctor, Buchanan, and Tully engage in corrupt and biased investigation by not investigating inside the House and interviewing House defendants as friends rather than suspects. Proctor denies that the interviews of the House defendants were outside of normal protocol, but they were, right? Proctor admits that the interviews with the House defendants were not tape recorded. As to the remaining allegations, okay. Proctor denies that he engaged in unlawful investigation, that he was biased or corrupt. Proctor admits that he interviewed the McCabe's and Brian Albert on January 29th at the McCabe's home in Canton. Proctor admits that he interviewed Nicole Albert, Brian Higgins, Chris Albert, and Julie Albert. As to the remaining of the allegations, Proctor is without knowledge, denied that Proctor failed to conduct a meaningful investigation, admitted that Proctor interviewed Higgins and that Higgins presented some text between himself and the plaintiff. Further admitted that Higgins reported that he and Reed had kissed. Proctor admits that he did not do further interviews with Higgins, denied that Proctor hid any video. As to the remaining allegations, Proctor is without knowledge. The allegations in this paragraph refer to other defendants. There's no response necessary. Admitted that Proctor spoke to his sister Courtney, denied that Proctor failed to probe any stories, and denied that he coordinated stories through his sister. Admitted that Courtney told Proctor that Julie Albert wanted to give Proctor a thank you gift, which was never offered nor accepted. Admitted that Proctor told Courtney to tell Julie Albert to tell Proctor's wife, to give Proctor's wife the gift, which was never offered nor accepted. He did tell her to give his wife a gift, right? But he did, right, Laura? The text message denied that Proctor treated the Alberts like family and friends, admitted that Proctor shared some details with Courtney. Denied. Rather than investigate their friends and brethren, Proctor, 𝗠𝗲𝗹𝗆𝗆𝗆 Tully, and MSP target Karen Reed. Yeah, she was offered a gift. Yeah. Denied that there was substantial evidence exonerating plaintiff and implicating others. Admitted that Miss Reed's cell phone and her SUV were seized on January 29th. Admitted that Proctor texted his high school friends on the evening of January 29th, the day he began his investigation. Denied that the MSP had not visited the crime scene. Denied that the only cursory interviews of the McCabe's and Brian Albert had taken place. Admitted that Proctor told his friends that O'Keefe had been hit by a car. Denied that from the outset Proctor was determined to pin it on the girl. Denied that Proctor had bias and conflicted relationships with the investigation. Admitted that Proctor knew the Alberts. There is conflicted relationships, so what the hell? I don't understand that. Denied that Proctor searched for nudes. Proctor and 𝗠𝗏𝗃 plant certain evidence and make false statements in court and other legal documents to frame Karen. Denied that Proctor manufactured a case against Miss Reed. Denied that Proctor generated false incriminating evidence against Miss Reed. Admitted that Proctor took no photographs of the inside or garage of 34 Fairview. As to the remaining allegations, they refer to the other defendants, therefore no response is necessary. Admitted that Miss Reed's SUV was towed to the CPD Sallyport. Admitted that Mass was in the middle of Nor'easter. As to the remaining allegations are denied, and that Miss Reed Lexus taillight had a minor crack and the taillight was intact before it arrived at the garage. Denied that the crack occurred when Miss Reed backed into Mr. O'Keefe's car at 5 a.m. that morning when she was leaving to search for him. As to the video referenced in the paragraph, it speaks for itself. So many. Yeah, admitted that Proctor and 𝗠𝗏𝗃 followed the vehicle from Dighton to CPD and arrived just moments after the tow truck with the Lexus. Denied that at some point after the vehicle arrived at Sallyport, the right rear taillight was almost entirely destroyed. 77 denied. Okay. Admitted that one camera was inverted. Admitted that Proctor applied for such warrants to Stoughton District Court in Norfolk Superior Court in searches of Google electronic records, ring videos, Miss Reed's phone, Miss Reed's vehicle, and cell tower records. Denied that Proctor's assertion that he sees Alexis was intentionally false and done to hide any facts. Admitted that Proctor retrieved Mr. O'Keefe's clothing from the floor of the hospital where O'Keefe was pronounced deceased. Denied that Proctor and Buchanan placed pieces of the SUV taillight on the clothes. Denied that Proctor planted pieces of glass on the bumper of Miss Reed's SUV. Further denied that Proctor planted any evidence to make it look like glass shards originated from a cocktail glass that Mr. O'Keefe was holding when he exited the Waterfall bar. Denied that the only way for the glass to have ended up on the SUV bumper is that Proctor planted it in an attempt to connect the vehicle to the death of Mr. O'Keefe. Other aspects of conflicted and corrupt investigation. Admitted that Proctor interviewed Brian Logren, a town of Canton snowplow operator. Denied that Proctor made any effort to track down Mr. Loglen. I'm saying that right. Hey, Michelle. Let me see what you said. Remember the one human hair and small remain on the... Yeah, I never believed that, Laura. The one hair made it through a blizzard. So he admitted to about 2% of the bullshit that went on. Yes, everything. He only admitted to the one inverted light. Thanks for being here, Michelle. What did we expect, though? Denied Proctor secretly made any efforts to protect any Albert family members during the investigation. So he admitted that Proctor used his personal cell phone to speak with Kevin Albert. Admitted that Proctor and Kevin Albert traveled in Proctor's cruiser to Cape Cod. Cod. Admitted that Kevin Albert left his badge in Proctor's cruiser. Is that when... Who was the one who got drunk and left his badge and his firearm? Is that this time or was that a different time? Because I can't keep track. The indictments, trials, and aftermath. Admitted that the plaintiff was arrested pursuant to a criminal complaint. As to the remaining allegations, Proctor is without knowledge or information sufficient to form a belief. Admitted that plaintiff was later rearrested. Yes. Admitted that plaintiff was tried twice by the Commonwealth. The first trial ended in hung jury. The allegations call for conclusions of law. Therefore, no response is necessary. Denied. Proctor is without knowledge. Okay. Jeez. MSP investigates and punishes Proctor, Buchanan, and Tully for their misconduct during the investigation. Admitted that Proctor testified at that state grand jury. Admitted that Proctor was relieved from duty. Admitted that Proctor was transferred out of the detective unit of the Norfolk County. Admitted that Proctor was terminated from the Mass State Police. As to the remaining allegations, okay, denied. Proctor counts. Did I say 1 through 42? Oh no, count 1. Proctor malicious prosecution under the 4th Amendment against Proctor, Buchanan, and Tully. Proctor repeats, reavers, and incorporates herein in his response to paragraphs 108 of the plaintiff's complaint. Admitted that plaintiff was indicted by a grand jury. Denied that she was arrested without probable cause. Denied that Proctor violated Miss Reed's 4th Amendment rights against unreasonable seizures and searches. But they did. Because they weren't supposed to seize one of her phones, right? Yeah, Chris Albert, the badge in the GUN. And they did they did violate when they took her second phone, right? Because she took the first one and then I believe, I thought they still have her phones, but they took the second one without a warrant, right? Or was it the first one? I remember her saying something in the Rotten Mango interview about that. Count 2 against 𝗶𝗡𝗍𝗶 and 𝗠𝗲𝗹𝗆𝗆, supervisor liability. Count 3, conspiracy to deprive Miss Reed of her Fourth Amendment rights. And that's 𝗠𝗲𝗹𝗆𝗆, 𝗶𝗡𝗍𝗶, Alberts, McCabe's, and Higgins. Denied that Proctor interviewed the McCabe's and Brian Albert in a cursory manner. Admitted that Proctor interviewed Higgins at his attorney's home. Proctor respectfully requests that the Honorable Court dismiss plaintiff's complaint with prejudice. Count 4, Mass Civil Rights Act against all of them. Count 5, common law malicious prosecution. Count 6, intentional infliction of emotional distress. Denied. Count 7, civil conspiracy. The allegation is paragraph. Okay. Affirmative defenses. Defense number 3, Proctor is entitled and plaintiff's claims are barred by the doctrine of qualified immunity. Defense number 4, Proctor is entitled to and plaintiff's claims are barred by, immunity defense. At all times, Proctor acted in good faith, without malice and without corruption. Dude, that's ridiculous. Plaintiff's alleged injuries were caused by persons or entities from whom Proctor is not responsible. Defense 8, plaintiff comes to court with unclean hands. Defense number 9, all the times Proctor acted reasonably in good faith. Plaintiff has failed to mitigate her damages. Plaintiff's complaint is frivolous and not brought in good faith, and Proctor is entitled to cost attorney's fees and expenses. 12, at no time was Proctor's conduct extreme, outrageous, or beyond the bounds of decency. That's ridiculous. He was freaking fired for this behavior that he's like denying here. Proctor's actions and conduct were protected by legal processes, and therefore plaintiff cannot recover. At all times, Proctor acted in good faith and in accordance with the constitutions and laws of the United States. If plaintiff were deprived of any rights, the plaintiff had adequate post-deprivation remedies and therefore cannot recover. 17, Proctor was at all times acting in furtherance of his official duties and relying on a facially valid court order and therefore is entitled to quasi-judicial immunity. Proctor submits that because Ms. Reed was indicted by a grand jury, he is entitled to presumption of probable cause. Generally, a grand jury indictment definitely establishes cause. 19, the plaintiff was deprived of any rights protected under any federal or state constitution. Proctor did not initiate proceedings against the plaintiff, therefore plaintiff cannot recover. 21, Proctor did not withhold or conceal exculpatory evidence from the prosecution. The plaintiff fails to allege a conspiracy with adequate specificity and therefore cannot recover. Proctor is immune from suit and liability under the litigation privilege. Proctor hereby expressly reserves the right to supplement this answer to include additional relevant affirmative defenses as additional facts become available. Respectfully submitted by the defendant, Michael Proctor, by his attorneys. I don't think there's been a response to this yet. I'll have to check, but Laura says there's a new document on I think you said the 𝗲𝗎𝗆. Okay. Someone is trying to keep their job. I don't think Proctor can get his job back at this point, right? If he was already terminated. Okay, let's watch this interview. We're just gonna watch a little bit of it. Alan Jackson when he's with Billy Bush. If you guys haven't seen this, it's a good interview. Like I said, I'm not going to play it in full because he does go into a lot of things.
She's defending against a civil case against the O'Keefe families, filed one against her and 2 bars.
Right.
And she's also filed her own, which has gone to, it's going to be in a federal court.
Correct.
So there's that. You're representing 𝗠𝗲𝗹𝗆𝗆𝗆, a young man who had a horrific accident on the PCH, Pacific Coast Highway in Malibu.
Right.
And that's on your plate. And there's one other case out there of someone I wonder if you would defend them and what you would do. So we have more to go with our guest, Alan Jackson. This is the 1-year anniversary of Hot Mics with Billy Bush, our own little show. And if you're new to it, which I'm sure several people are, given, not me, you, Alan, thank you for being here, and please hit subscribe. Quick note from our sponsor, Prize Picks. Alan, this is fun. Prize Picks is, we're a little fast. Between the civil trial.
Okay, I want to just get to the part where he talks about Karen Reed.
Golf. Okay.
I'm going to download it right now.
It's easy. It's more or less. That's it.
Yeah.
Okay. So Karen Reed, you talk often, right? She's become a friend. You've been through it all together.
Yeah. Very good friend.
Where does it stand with her? There was talk that, between the civil trials, the one that's coming against her and the one that she's going after, all those people that were in that house, the McAlberts, as they're known.
And the institutions as well.
And
that's even more, it just as important as the individuals is the institutions that objectively just completely failed her, failed the community. So those are big lawsuits.
But there was talk about combining them because it all deals with the same people and the same material, but now one is going to federal court. So
there's procedural issues that lent themselves to removing some of the defendants up to federal court, but it's not going to change the contours of the allegations and the contours of the case ultimately.
So can they combine resources here and make it just one thing? All we want to know.
No, when you got
the fans, by the way, I'm just going to say, we the fans just want to know who did it. It's not her. That's already been ruled. Who did it?
So she has 3 civil cases coming and 1 is going federal.
And the O'Keefes, bless their hearts, are just wasting time. There's just no way, in my opinion, this is not coming from you, that they are going to win this. A criminal trial already said no across the board.
So the procedural niceties of federal court versus state court in Massachusetts, it is such that there's a barrier between them. You can't just combine the 2 cases because there's different sovereigns. It's literally a different court system. So our hope was, at least at it doesn't really matter to us. We don't really care. It would make it a little more convenient, a little more streamlined, obviously, if it was all in state court. But federal court benefits us in pretty significant ways as well. So we're fine.
Can you give one way? Tell me why federal court is better.
Well, it's not. I don't want to go into the specific details of strategy, but there are federal court rules that benefit us in certain.
I do really admire and love Alan Jackson. They won't go in front of a judge for a minimum of 2 to 3 years. I know that's a long time for Karen to still be dealing with all this stuff.
Things that we intend to do and propound in terms of our case, discovery issues, as well as evidentiary issues.
And you haven't had the greatest of experiences with the local system and the state system. Let's just say I'm giving grace to the rest of the judges that are in the Massachusetts state system. So she's got the federal case that she is pursuing, right? Which I love.
Yeah,
look, you're a lawyer, but to me as an observer, I'm always stunned when someone just settles, or like if I'm accused of something horrible and I'm like, here, let's just settle with them. I don't want to go through. They say we don't want to go through the years of trouble. You just had your entire character impugned. Right. I don't know. I would throw everything in the kitchen sink. I like the fact that Karen has turned around and said, yeah, I'm innocent. And what does a really innocent person do?
Yeah.
Like fight back.
Right. Which is exactly what that's how she's built. She's not going to,
she's scrappy and she's intelligent.
Yeah.
But she is fighting back and going, okay, let's find out who actually did this. And I admire that.
So who did it? Where is the justice for Officer John O'Keefe?
And show the warts and blemishes from inside the Massachusetts State Police. Show the warts and blemishes inside the system.
That's a
inside the Canton
big
Police.
undertaking. That's a big admission. If the Commonwealth of Massachusetts,
you know,
says
how many officers have been either disciplined from Massachusetts State Police,
Oh,
right?
from
The untouchable, the Massachusetts State Police. Oh my God, they're untouchable. They've been around forever. They're storied. It's a storied agency or department. I don't know if I could tick off on. I couldn't tick off on one hand because it's more than 5. There have been a ton of officers who have either been disciplined, demoted, stripped of their position, or just out and out fired. In the case of Michael Proctor. So yeah, it is a big undertaking, but they can't get out of their own way. We have exposed such a core level of corruption within the Massachusetts State Police, a cancer within the Massachusetts State Police, as has been alleged in the lawsuit, that they're not going to fare well. They're not going to fare well at all.
I have spoken to Karen only briefly. I don't know her like you know her, but she spent 3.5 years of her life doing this, and now it's going to be more. She's got a civil trial again against her, and the federal that she's playing offense. Psyche-wise, like she's in the prime of her life, right? She was in a relationship. There's the sweet things in life ahead, but this is going to become, in the end, what, like 6-7 years? This is her life defined. Can she handle, how does she take care of herself? Is she in a good headspace?
These are such good questions, because that's insane, actually, that she still has to deal with this for so long.
Can she handle it? Absolutely. Yeah, like you said, Billy, at some point there comes a time when you say, okay, I'm not going to be the victim anymore. I'm not going to be the target anymore. I'm going to go out and start throwing my own haymakers. And that's what she's doing. She's in that mindset. If everybody went away, I don't know that would make her happy. She is a fighter. She wants resolution. And she has a right to it. She has a right to it. What the Massachusetts State Police did, this investigation that was so broken from the very beginning, that led, in no small part, it led to her having to go through these last 3.5 years that you just mentioned of being targeted and feeling like she was on the back of her heels. She's entitled, and good for her, wanting to fight back and establish what the true facts are. And those true facts are going to be pretty ugly. They've already been pretty ugly.
I'm just confused. So I'm not a lawyer, but so the criminal trial, okay, fine. She's found not guilty. She didn't do it. Okay, fine. So are they looking into who's going to do it, or do these civil trials need to be done before they can? I mean, what's the holdup on arresting whoever did this to Officer John O'Keefe?
Jesus, you watch the trial.
You and she are going to do maybe a project together, right?
We are. That is in the works. Can
she do that while this case is going on, or just talk about other things, or she can talk some things about this? Because
no, she can talk about certain things about this. There are certain things that we would probably hold back on a podcast if we were.
She's lucky that her partner doing this will be you, and also her lawyer says, "Don't do that, don't do this." It's like you're like the ultimate executive producer.
We've got a built-in safety net, yeah. But we think that this is an opportunity for. In a very, very unique way for Karen to talk about the justice system writ large. Like, what does that consist of? She has been the target. I have been the challenger. We have built a teamwork and a network that really has foundation in discussing other cases, the system at large, the justice system, the court system, DA's offices, investigative agencies, things of that nature. And nearly every day, something comes across our feed, something comes across your feed in social media about some injustice that is alleged to have occurred somewhere in this country. We have myriad
look at it right
emails.
now.
I mean, over and over and over.
Is so ablaze in our country.
So that would be a a topic of discussion that I think Karen and I would offer a very unique perspective on. She's got the unique perspective of having been the person who is falsely accused, having been targeted by a behemoth system with unlimited resources and unyielding motivation to try to subjugate her, to try to attack her. And I've had the unique opportunity of being able to defend that person. So when we sit down together, I think us taking the bigger issues, the justice system in America, and really tackling those and dissecting them and peeling the onion back from both.
It still blows my mind that, he stepped away from the Nick Reiner case, but, is doing so much with Karen Reed. Very different cases, I get it, but
of our
he's a really great attorney.
I think it'll be pretty fascinating.
What is going on with the justice system in America? Is it under threat? I mean, I don't know how political you get, but
I try not to get political, but I can tell you from a legal standpoint, it is it's discouraging. That's a word that I would use to describe what's happening in courtrooms and in investigative agencies across the country.
What about the DOJ?
Same thing. There are warts and blemishes within the DOJ that are now being exposed, that unfortunately that's the sort of hidden little secret, is that it's been going on for years and decades, and it requires, I think social media is a great platform because there's so many opportunities for people to speak out who have had no voice before, so they can get out on social media and make a splash. Look what Aiden did. Right, to
Turtle Boy,
to really shine a hot spotlight on corruption that was right under his nose, that he's actually experienced himself because he shined the spotlight on it. Now he's being attacked by the very behemoth, by the very 800-pound gorilla that he exposed. How's that fair?
Yeah.
Well, that's just an indicator. That's just a paradigm of a larger problem throughout the country, both on the
Turtle Boy, right? Not at all. Okay.
Federal level with the DOJ to state courts and state agencies across the country. And it's high time that someone starts exposing these things and pointing a finger and showing some spine and not being afraid, because of the amount of exposure social media brings to bear. It does provide a little bit of a safety net. So it's discouraging, but it's an exciting time for exposition to expose some of these ills that have badly needed rectifying for many years.
Hey, Billy and Alan, you brought up you brought up Turtle Boy, and I just wanted to from Ann Dunlap, 1951. She says, "Thank you, Mr. Alan Jackson, for acknowledging Aiden Kearney, and prayers will be set free." Saying that it was out there that there was some. Maybe everyone.
There's a lot of turtles. There's a look at.
It was saying
Alan,
maybe everyone
look at
doesn't
all
get
the
along.
turtles in the chat
There's a
section.
lot of
I'm
turtles.
turning my laptop
I like
around
it.
to Alan. Look at all the turtles.
And there should be. There should be.
Regardless of all the drama that's going on, I agree. Laura says sticking up for Turtle Boy. Regardless of all the drama that's going on, he did put the Karen Reed case on the out there. He did do all of that. So credit given.
Hearing you, Alan, that you're reaching out and saying something about Turtle Boy, I think there's a lot out there that maybe parties on both sides aren't getting along, but they like to hear the nice words that you said.
Of course. Yeah.
Well, where was the first place that Alan Jackson appeared after the trial was over? I think you paid respect and you spent a Saturday night live with him.
Sure.
Right? That was you could have
by design. I could have picked
Howie Carr, Boston Globe, many other people who were all over this. Me, I was asking. You went right to Turtle Boy first.
There's a beauty to groundwork being done by its own community. In other words, when you talked about Minneapolis, there's other communities throughout the country that are suffering at the hands of not just incompetence, but in some cases, just abject corruption. And when you have a grassroots movement from anybody, if anybody can get that started, that has so much power in bringing to light and protecting bringing to light the corruption and protecting the folks who have been the target of the corruption. And by the way, I'm not saying I'm far from it. I'm not saying that all police agencies are bad or all investigators are bad or they always get it wrong. But I'm saying they get it wrong a hell of a lot of times, a hell of a lot of the time. And there are
there's getting
folks,
something wrong, and then there's like she did it, and something is blatant, and this woman goes to jail for the rest of her life.
Yeah, and we know
murder.
she didn't do
Like,
it. And
what? You're willing to do that? Your conscience
So who's going to jail for it?
Will be okay at night by pinning this because you need a win so badly.
Every one
Michael
of the folks.
Morrissey?
Every one of those folks, starting with Michael Morrissey,
The
and on
DA,
down,
I mean,
every single one of those folks slept like a baby. And that is tragic. They slept like a baby, knowing full well that they were prosecuting an innocent woman. They damn well did. That is shameful. That is tragic, that there is no more moral compass in the system, especially out there, in the system of justice out there in Massachusetts, then those folks could go home at night and justify their conduct. It's unjustifiable, unacceptable. And that's what we're going to expose in the civil cases.
well, you are not afraid to speak emphatically and call it out, and you did then, and you still do. And boy, these trials. When does that? It seems to be a lull in the action, if you will.
Yeah, the civil cases. I mean, Billy, it's a marathon, not a sprint. So all these civil cases will take a good amount of time. I mean, we're just in the beginning of the discovery phases. Not a single deposition has been taken yet.
Is this going to cost Karen a bunch of money to defend herself? Right.
The entire.
Where does she get it?
The entire. Absolutely, it's going to cost her a pretty penny to defend herself.
So she has to raise money from people.
Correct. There. I've seen speculation out.
I know there's a lot of like drama with all of this stuff, but I think if you just follow the right people and continue to, donate to Karen, and I know it's messy, but we have to remember justice for Officer John O'Keefe is what's important here. I know that's really hard to do sometimes. Yeah.
Online about that she's got plenty of money and this, that, and she's
how?
She does not. She does not have the funds and the resources to defend herself against the O'Keefe suit, and she's doing the best she can. She's not going to.
Will we see something in this? Will it get moving in
no,
the spring?
Well, yes, there will be additional court appearances. As a matter of fact, there will be some movement in the discovery world. Depositions are starting to get scheduled, et cetera. So you'll see some movement, but it goes at a glacial pace. I'll put it that way.
Okay.
It's not like a criminal case.
It is the 1-year anniversary of Hot Mics, our podcast, our platform. Alan, fire away, fellas.
𝗠𝗲𝗹𝗆𝗆 003. What say is the defendant at the bar leaving the scene after accident resulting in death? Is the defendant not guilty or guilty? So say
They're not silent outside anymore.
So you upon your oath say the defendant on 001 is not guilty.
Yeah, that was, if you watch the trial, that was insane.
He was guilty of operating the influence of liquor.
Oh, one for the road. Fine, you got her for drinking and driving. Okay. Yeah, and go give one to Brian Albert and Brian Higgins too. Go give them one. Oh my God.
That's one of the best things I've ever seen. Literally, how have you hidden that from me all this time? I have never seen, obviously I couldn't watch it live. I never saw that. That is one of the best reactions I've ever seen.
Oh, I mean, I'm a pretty emotive fellow, but
yeah,
that was
right from the gut.
This better be 3 for 3, dude. I mean, this better, we all have a.
Try standing in the courtroom and not doing that, because that's what I wanted to do. Obviously.
Oh yeah, what were you feeling? I mean, physiologically, you must have been like,
oh my God,
it's rush over your skin.
It's so draining, right? You're there for, and it's not. Keep in mind, that's the culmination of day after day, hour after hour, minute after minute of hearing nothing. You get nothing. You get nothing. You get nothing. And then remember what happened just before they actually read the verdict. So we get called over. We're waiting in an office complex close by because Judge Cannoni said she wanted us within 5 minutes of the courthouse. So we stayed. We were situated, and we get a call. There's a verdict, and we're like, okay, saddle up, saddle the heck up. Family show.
Saddle up.
I probably said something different. I probably said that. So saddle up. Let's go. Tighten your tie, tighten your belt strap. Let's do this. We get over to the courthouse, and the judge calls us up to sidebar, and we're like, what now? Like what,
Yeah,
literally
God.
what now? God have mercy. And she says, I can't quote her because it's a sidebar and it's been impounded, but it's something to the effect of, you're not going to believe this, but there was a verdict announced, and then that verdict was then pulled back by the jurors, which she announced in open court.
Yeah.
And I got my hand over my face. I'm like, wait, what? Okay, I thought I'd seen it all. I thought I had seen it all, either in my career or in this courthouse. Like,
I
what?
feel
you see a lot
bad he
of-
stepped down from the Nick Reiner case. I feel like Alan Jackson would do so good with that.
Crazy
What
shit
is
in this
going?
courthouse.
I had never seen anything like that. So it's been called. What does that mean? And then mercifully, we all just sort of scattered. The judge said, "Don't leave the courthouse." They've been told to go back and continue deliberating. Stay close by. So we all stayed close by, and I think I was walking in a circle like an idiot. Like I didn't know what to do. I didn't know who to talk to. So I'm just sitting there looking at my shoes, walking in circles. And I don't know. It seemed like hours, but it was probably 20, 25, maybe 30 minutes later. We get called back into the courtroom, and the judge said, "Okay, they've got a verdict." So we're standing there, and it's like tick tock, mister. Like, here we go. I'm standing next to Karen.
He talks about it in this interview, so you guys should go watch it in full about the Nick Reiner case. Well, he doesn't say why he stepped down, but people think that it is because of the money, and the family maybe didn't want to help anymore or contribute, I don't know, to the finances. But what if he has money in a will? Wouldn't he still be entitled to that? See, I don't know some of these laws. But yeah, I feel like it had to have been something with money, or maybe the family was funding it.
Liza's next to me, and David and Bob are on the other side of Karen. And I went numb. I reached down, and just before, as the magistrate is interrogating the jury foreman, what say you? I just reached down and gently just held Karen's hand for just a quick second. And I didn't know what was going through her mind. She's the one sitting there with all the spotlights on her. But for me,
Could that be the truth that he wasn't? Yeah, maybe. You might be right, Michelle.
Numb and waiting and waiting and waiting. And when I heard the first not guilty, there was like a murmur outside the courthouse, a murmur, because everybody knows there's 2 more counts to go through. And the windows were open. It's kind of a warm day. And then the second count comes in. And then there was some confusion about the second count, because the subordinate count to count 2 is a DUI.
Right.
And they found her guilty of the DUI. And there was a louder murmur, because now that's 2 out of 3. And then when that third one hit, that's the reaction that I saw you hit. And that's when I wanted to go nuts. I just wanted to like throw something up in the air, do something. And then, every camera is on us. And so you have to show some level of dignity, like you've been there before. But that was a moment I'll never forget.
Excellent.
I'll never forget.
Excellent restraint. I loved Bill Reed's words to the legal team, to the team, the family that had formed. That was beautiful. And David Yannetti's tears.
Yeah.
Your
He's
co-counsel.
He's an
with his
emotional
tears.
man. He's the
a
most
beautiful man.
honestly emotional guy I've ever met. He maybe next to you, because that's pretty damn close. But when he turned, I didn't see that until I saw the replay, and then I saw him turn and do this and wipe his tears away. My heart goes out to David.
I do love David Yannetti too.
He's such a good person. Amazing. Bob the same way. Bob, I got a hug from Bob. Bob's a fighter. Like literally, like he's a boxer. He's a trained fighter. And he's all muscle. That dude is like, it's
Really?
like, oh my God.
He's more jacked than you?
Oh, by a long shot. So
I spell your name Jacked Son. ED is in the middle there.
That's good. I like that.
You like that?
So I gave Bob a hug, and I thought he was going to crush the life out of me. He hugged me so hard, and he's built like granite. And all of us were just it was a euphoric state, and we knew we had to keep some level of composure. because in about 30 seconds, we're going to walk outside to a crowd who adores Karen and wants to see her, and they're clamoring to just get a sight of her. And she walked out. When she walked out and she put her hand over her heart, it was the most honest thank you.
Yeah.
And then she did the I love you sign. It all takes your breath away. It had been so long in coming. Yeah, it was amazing. It was amazing. I just watching it back, it brings back a ton of emotion.
Oh man. Yeah, look at that. Holy mackerel. Just so there she is in periwinkle blue jacket.
Yeah.
Love that number. The weirdest thing that's happened in the 1 year,
sorry guys.
in a 1 year history of Hot Mics is we have a sidecar to the main show, and that's Morning Mics,
Yeah.
which is, Steve and I, Monday to Thursday, I just hop on there and I kind of go through the newspaper with people. So if you've never joined us before, we do it at 7 a.m. Pacific, 10. It's like, tell Mrs. Yannetti that she needs to watch so she can enhance her value.
Yeah, you're welcome, Robin. It's his
Yeah.
wife.
God.
That's fantastic. Well earned. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
before we go anywhere, and before I welcome my landlord into the room, because I've been renting from a man for a year, somebody that everybody knows.
Okay, I'll end there. You guys can watch the rest of that interview. I don't want to play it in its entirety, but it's a really good interview. It's on Billy Bush, and he does mention the Nick Reiner case. I just wanted to play the part about Karen because we were reading the Proctor document. I need to get that new one on Tully, and I'm still debating going over Karen Reed sidebar transcripts. Let me know in the comments or in the chat if you are interested in that. His court date is, yeah, I heard that. I did hear that. So, interesting. I'm curious to see what happens with all of these civil cases and Proctor. I know that document was fairly short. Okay. I'll try to take care of it, Tippy. Thank you. But thank you guys for being here. Make sure you hit the like button. I will schedule the next live. I'll definitely stay on top of Karen Reed. I know not everybody loves that case, but I do love it. I do love the Karen Reed case. So yeah, I switched it to Boston. Okay. Really? It doesn't look that way on my end. So I'm curious as to why you guys see it on your end. But I'll fix it nonetheless. Definitely hit the like button on your way out. Like I said, I do have a Karen Reed playlist, and I will definitely keep on adding to that. We have another live, 2 more lives scheduled for today. We have Jodi Arias, if you're into like older cases. And then we have Jeffrey Epstein. We've been reviewing over the Jeffrey Epstein documents and photos. So if you're interested, definitely turn on your notifications. I appreciate you guys for being here. Hit the like button on the way out, helps push us out into the algorithm, and I will see you guys on the next live.